in our house, in any place, in India, in Benin, we could be in Latin America, in Peru, and be working for a company in Germany, in France, in Benin, in South Africa. Because in the virtual environment, the boundaries mean less. Okay, so having a good education is good. Competent people will be employed globally. So it is good to embrace what we are good at and be best at it, so we can make a difference. Let's talk about clean water and sanitation. I was saying earlier that only 2% of the water we have is fresh water. And of that, a quarter of it is accessible to people. So where are we going? Where are we today with water? And where are we going tomorrow? And where will we be in 2030? Today, the technology used is called desalination. Desalination is growing, and if you go to the Arabian Peninsula, you go to Kuwait, you go to UAE, this is actually an example from Australia. And what happened is that they take the seawater, they pump the seawater, they screen it, it goes through filtration, and it goes through a very, very expensive process called reverse osmosis. The reverse osmosis is this. The principle is very simple. The scientific principle is very simple. Take a container and put a semi-permeable membrane, and at one side you put salty water, at the other side you have fresh water. You will realize that the salty water will pull the fresh water through, and then will increase its volume. That's in osmotic pressure. Now, in order to reverse the osmosis, you take the salty water and you exert pressure on it, and then it flows the other way. And that's what happens here. It's very expensive. And that's how water is being generated. A company in Israel has started taking salty water and putting that under a greenhouse equivalent, and then it evaporates, and as it evaporates, there's a condensate, and that water is recovered. And they are using this with a square meter. A square meter, they can get 10 liters of water every day. But other technologies are coming. A French company called Eol Water is generating 1,500 liters using a windmill. So the phenomenon is that here you see water evaporating because of the sun. Some clouds create precipitation, and that goes back in. But when you have the condensate, water in the cloud, research said that we have 13,000 cubic kilometers of water around the universe. So that is the biggest water reservoir in the world. The biggest freshwater reservoir is in the atmosphere. To be able to tap water from the atmosphere is the next technology where all scientists are working. So in the future, we will be getting water from the atmosphere. There is a student somewhere in the world who's working on a device, a bottle that is self-filled. You leave that bottle here, it will fill with water after a while, because it's taking the moisture from the air and then drawing it inside the bottle. And it will be pure water. So the water they're getting from here, from this windmill, is coming down. It goes through filtration. Another company here in Israel is showing this funnel-looking device, and is producing water. So water in the future, keep this in mind, that water in the future will be coming from the atmosphere. We will be drinking atmospheric water. Okay. Clean energy. Here, again, the only thing I will tell you is that there are other sources of energy around us. It's not just coal. It is not just petroleum or gasoline. Other sources are coming, and they are growing very fast. And today, I was just visiting a place in the US, in Colorado, where they are working. It's a government lab called NREL, Renewable Energies Lab. And they are working on grids so that you can integrate electricity coming from different sources. And just to give you an idea, you don't have to read the graph, renewable energies by 2040 will pass nuclear and coal by 2040. Some countries in the world are accelerating very fast in renewable energies. And there are cities that are fighting to get renewable energy 100% in their, for the city. I talked about additive manufacturing earlier. I'm coming back to it to close the loop with it. Additive manufacturing doesn't look at any shape. It can print anything that you have in 3D. Look at this shape. This is one of the most difficult parts in engineering. It is the part of the airplane. When you look at the jet engine in the airplane, the hub is in the middle, and then you have the contact, the interface of the hub with the propellers. And here, this part is being 3D printed right now already. It's being 3D printed by General Electric, GE, in the US. And this is a new car. 75% of the car was printed. They started the project in July, and in September they printed the car. And in the future, you will tell the car you want, and they will print it for you. 75% of this car is printed. The company in the US is called Local Motors. So Local Motors has started printing cars. Can we imagine printing cars in a garage? So in the future, all the jobs that we have on assembly lines that Henry Ford started at the turn of the past century will be obsolete. Cars will be printed. Just like Tesla Motors started in the US, self-driving cars, and all the big car manufacturers said it's not going anywhere, and now all of them are in the race for self-driving cars. It is predicted by 2030, 20% of the cars will be self-driven. I myself had a tremendous experience last year in Colorado. I went to a seminar in Colorado, and the guy who picked me up has a Tesla Model S. We were on the highway, he was driving, and at some point, he turned around and started talking to me. And I couldn't help it. I say, what the heck are you doing? Why don't you focus on driving? And he put his hands off, and on all the highway, the Model S was driving itself. I was fascinated. After 2 minutes, I had no problem about crashing the car. I was just fascinated being the technologist I am. It was fascinating to see that car. So well that the 3 days later when I was coming back, I asked to get the same car. But then it was snowing. The car was looking at the white stripes in the middle of the road, and it was snowing. So we couldn't see anything, and the car was still driving itself. So I asked the driver, another driver, what's going on here? You told me that the cameras have to follow the stripes in the middle of the road. He said, no, it is interpolating from the side of the road. So from a mathematician, the cameras are looking at the side of the road and then doing the calculation real time to keep the car on the road. That was fascinating. So this Local Motors is printing cars. So in order to wrap up here, you can see that everything starts on those 6 goals that we talk about, but with a quality education. Everything starts with a quality education. So we have to learn. We have to continue to learn. Our life is a lifelong learning. We never stop learning. And with a quality education, a nation will be able to have good health and well-being, clean water, industry. And with clean water and good health, we will have zero hunger. Zero hunger, for me, is not the starting point. Good education is the starting point. And then, with the industry, we can have affordable and clean energy. So, what are the opportunities? Before we conclude, modern technologies are offering to the developing countries. What are the opportunities to revise the education system? This is plain field. The clock is set to 0 to all the countries on earth. So there's no country ahead of the other one. So any developing country today can catch up and can be competitive. So revising the education to give a spirit of entrepreneurship to young people. We can leap, any country can leap to a new technology without having to go through all the steps the developing country has gone through. You can leap to new technologies and innovative services and products can be developed. And again, resources will be plentiful around the world. Competent people will never lose a job because they will have employers from around the world. That's where we are going in 2030. But what are the headwinds? What are the roadblocks that we have that we need to overcome? What are the challenges? We need to develop a private investment culture in the developing countries. The private investment, meaning what? 2, 3, 4 people come together, they put money aside and say, let us start a new venture. We need to overcome the individualistic initiatives because no one succeeds alone. No one succeeds alone. I had a discussion with a young man once who was telling me, oh, I can do it by myself. As I say, no. Your father and mother have started taking care of you. And then you went to school, and teachers went above and beyond their salaries to teach you, to bring you up. And then medical doctors took care of you. Pretty soon, he realized that he would never have been in the position he was if it were not for all the people who contributed. Therefore, we need to overcome the individualistic initiatives instead, and then embrace partnership. Today, people want to do things. I want to do it only with my family so that we can control it so nobody can get in. Get up. Wake up. The world is not flat. It is round so that everybody can. And then banking structures. Banking structures are needed to feed seed money. People who have money need to get good ideas in order to put their seed money in those. And I'm asking here all of you that you need to learn how to write a business case, how to write a very good business case to attract investment in order to be creative and create your own. So, wrapping up, here are the 3 silent things that I will emphasize. Quality education, private investment culture, and with technology entrepreneurs. With those 3 things coming together, no country will continue to stay in poverty. No country. Quality education, private investment culture, and technology entrepreneurship. This may be the biggest challenge for the developing countries, but the other 2 are just an arm's length. I use this platform to launch a challenge to everybody in the world. I know that one day this forum outcome will be shared with others. And I want everybody to know that we can solve these issues by beginning designing and commercializing products and services that everyone on the planet can afford. There's one example, 1 billion lights. There is one person in India that started the 1 billion lights. One small solar panel that can only illuminate 1 light bulb. They have sold more than 1 billion in the world. Because of that simple 1 light bulb, kids in villages can put that lamp outside during the day it absorbs the sunlight. During the evening, they put it in one light bulb, and they can study instead of going by the street or studying with lights that are poor for their sight. Another company in the U.S. is working and is selling across Africa now and other parts of the world a small solar panel that will illuminate 5 light bulbs. So with those, I want to thank you for listening to me today, and I will speak French and go through quickly for those who